I'm Drew Breezy, and this is the Comm Center, the show that dissects 911 calls and emergency response video and audio by two guys who have done both jobs. Coming up, we're going to review a case with body cam footage, and that's before the police even show up. John is going to experiment with a new segment called, quote, Kazoo Corner with a K, and this is where he's going to perform the B-side of the Pink Floyd classic, Dark Side of the Moon. And we trace the call. It's coming from your basement. Statistics tell us that squatters are likely to inhabit your home. When will it be your turn? All that and what it means for your weekend on the Comm Center.
City council members have announced their plan to disband the Minneapolis Police Department.
We're calling for defunding the police.
Shootings in New York City have more than doubled this year.
I love that song. Wake up, it's the Comm Center with Drew Breezy, one of your favorite podcasts where we talk 911 stuff and also mention cop response. It's a TV show on the internet about two best friends who find out that Drew's father was the original Soviet Gerber baby, and they have to go to Russia to investigate whether or not he's still alive working in a paprika mine in the Ural Mountains. Drew, it's been a while since I've seen you. I like your little silly openings. What the hell's going on with you, old man?
Paprika mines. I had no idea. I believe it's called like paprikash in Hungary.
Now, what do you say? There's a certain herb out there that goes by different names. There's gosh, what do they call it? It's the one that's a member of the basil or the mint family. It's coriander or cilantro. Which name do you use for it?
I went to high school with Coriander, and she was a cheerleader. she was fresh, as we said back in the day.
Back in the 90s when you were in high school?
80s. Late 80s.
Wow. All right, I'll try to keep relating to you.
Back to paprika talk.
Back to various spices. Why don't I do my ad read real quick, Drew? That way we could get out of the way and go on with a story. A story of your journey to Maine.
Okay, go for it.
Which is sort of like the Soviet Russia of America or something. I don't know. It's cold. Be ready for everything with County Comm. County Comm has everything you need to prepare, explore, and survive. Go to countycomm.com and check out their online store. Drew, I know it's confusing because we're the Comm Center and they're County Comm, and there's no overlap at all, but they have everything for your everyday carry. Powerful flashlights, utility knives, multi-tools, camping tools, radios, mechanical watches, compasses, lighters, fire starter kits. Drew, I know that you cannot start a fire without a whole kit. Bags, pouches, capsules, wallets. If you needed to survive when you're roughing it or you just don't want to be caught unprepared in your daily life, you're going to find it at County Comm. You can trust them. They've been in business for over 30 years. They offer fast returns and exchanges, and you can get free domestic shipping on any order over $125. Sign up for their special deals and their awesome rewards program while you're at the website, countycomm.com. That's county, C-O-M-M, just like comm and comm center.com. And you can follow their Instagram, countycomm_gov. You can check out awesome products and deals there. Everybody likes the prepared guy, Drew. You want to be that guy. You could do that with County Comm. Everyone hates it when a special tool or something is needed for a specific situation, and everyone turns at you because you're just you're always the man for the moment. You're like, well, I don't fucking have a lockpick set. Well, now you could go to County Comm and you can get all that stuff. We appreciate them working specifically with me and no one else here at Comm Center, and I appreciate Drew allowing me to air that ad in the space. We appreciate it.
Well, I am still cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent, like a good scout would be. So the motto is "Be prepared," and I think that it falls in line with the attitude of this show. We always want to be prepared, right?
I just think about Batman. You know, he had everything on him for every situation. It didn't matter if he was like magnetized to a massive clock or if he was, inside a dumpster at the bottom of the sea. He always had something to get out of that situation. So be like that, but do it in real life, and County Comm can get you there.
I need a toaster.
They have small, pocket toasters. Yes, where you can basically take, if you come across a piece of cereal or something, you can toast it.
Yeah, grain of
Brand
rice.
like. Drew, you went to Maine, and you said it was germane to the program. Because,
Oh, I get it. Listen, Maine is a beautiful state. Here's what I love. This is what I like doing. This is what's relaxing to me until my hips tend to tighten up a little bit. I like driving around New England for whatever reason. Usually in the fall, sometimes at this time of year, it just so happened. So I'm going to flash us back to why I went there, but I've got to be able to find.
He's flapjacking, folks, and now I wish I was doing my ad read. Here's another occasion where you can think about delicious cigarettes, no matter the brand, no matter where you buy them. Tobacco is all organic. It's made in America. And if the government doesn't want you to have it, it has got to be good. Right now, you should go out to your corner store and pick up a pack of any brand of cigarettes.
I'm sorry. Like, it's just very complicated right now.
That was a very good extemporaneous ad for Big Tobacco, though, right?
It was.
You know why we do that? It's to determine, Drew, if anyone's listening. Like if we get an cease and desist from a lawyer, then we know someone has heard us.
Yeah, or if we offend a kids group or something like that, or like a church group or something. If we get like
kids group, you mean a gang? We call that a gang.
Some call them gang, some call them B'nai B'rith. Okay, so here's a little throwback to the Nicole's Life Mattered episode from December 2023. I just want to play this just to kind of set up the story. Nicole was a dispatcher during the Boston bombings. She was, I think, Boston PD or whatever.
Yeah, she was Boston PD. Right.
We did a tribute to Nicole way back when look, it's hard to even talk about.
Yeah.
Nicole took her own life, and she was a dispatcher. She could just never shake the ghosts that haunt, and I think it's completely overlooked, the dispatchers, because the call takers and the people on the radio, the trauma is the exact same. This is what people don't understand. Like, even when we talk about Desiree and her going to a scene to see yet another overdose, it's not necessarily the blood and guts that's making everybody kind of compartmentalize or want to shut everything out. It's the screams of the mother, or it's the cries of the people around you, and you can't shake that.
I'll never forget that.
I'll
never forget that scream.
So God rest her soul. Nicole obviously wasn't able to shake whatever demons came her way. And I know that you were, I know that you were probably fairly close with her. And I know that you went to her celebration of life up there in New England. So if you want to.
It was August 3rd that I got the notification, actually a few days after that. And ironically, it was through a cryptic message on our YouTube channel that just simply said "R.I.P. Nicole." I was like, "What the heck?"
That's probably the worst way to find out.
Yeah. So I picked up the phone and I sent her a text and I said, "Nicole, I just wanted to check on you, make sure you're doing okay." And about an hour later, I get a call from her mother, and she told me the story. And it was devastating. It was a punch in the teeth. It was like, here's someone in my film. She had been to the premiere. She had in April, had been to an event in Wisconsin where the folks there at this film festival wanted her there. And she was there speaking about her story, making a difference. And now this. And Cole's story matters. Her life matters, still does, will continue to matter, and will continue to make an impact everywhere this film is shown. It will continue to make an impact.
I'm making a commitment right now. If it's open to the public, I'm coming to Augusta for the showing of that. I mean, if it's open.
It will be open to the public for sure.
Okay. And I am officially inviting John, because for accountability purposes, he always says that he's not invited. I will pay for him to fly wherever he's from. So anyway, the event took place in Bangor, which is, the hometown of Nicole. So it was it was just surreal. I told you, like, one of my releases is being able to drive around New England, and I got to fly into Boston. I stayed the night, and then I drove. I took the 4-hour car ride up to Bangor. Just, beautiful scenery, and there wasn't any snow on the ground, which is kind of disappointing. I blame our friend Ben for that. But so I got to Bangor. Almost immediately, Conrad's like, look, open arms. This Conrad guy is. He's the director of PTSD 911. He's one of the most humble humans. He's like an Abby, like a civilian that just cares about us and wants to tell our story, and he does so with film. And he's like, hey, Nicole's parents are having a big lobster feast, and they want to invite you. So what am I going to do? Like, people don't, in here, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, John. I have sometimes crippling social anxiety. Like, I would much rather be just secreted in a hotel room somewhere watching the same stuff I could watch at home, just in a different location. You know what I mean? Eating
the planet would be better with no people on it.
Eating a local pizza and, drinking some kind of NA brew from that area, which, by the way, I got to experience. They have some fantastic non-alcohol beers up there.
Yeah,
anyway,
I saw you enjoying the local selection of Sam Adams non-alcohol.
Yeah, I did do that. So there I was, and I'm like, okay, I got to go. This is what I'm here for. Like, I am here for Nicole, essentially. So get over it. And it's not like they had to twist my arm to come to their home. It's just it's me. It's just me. So I got in that car and I drove over there, and Conrad met me, like, just seeing my older brother. He met me at the door and brought me into this home. And I'm telling you, it did not feel like it was the first time I had entered that house. It was just, I don't know how to describe it, but they are just so welcoming and warm and wonderful people. And so at any rate, I'm getting ready to show the rest of the film here that I created, if I can find it. But they had prepared for us. This is Nicole's dad. I left his face out because I didn't know how, private or not private he was at the time I took this picture, but he's holding this big pot of lobsters. I don't know if you can see that. He is about to send them to their untimely death in a pot of boiling water on the back patio. But this is the end result here. This is what we got to experience. Look at that. Just wonderful. Like, we got a full-on tutorial. I'll tell you who was there. Conrad was there. He's the director of the movie, obviously. There's a guy named Matty Fiorenza, Fireman Matty, on Instagram. I urge you to go follow him. He's in the PTSD 911 movie. Great guy, great human being. And then Desiree Palmer, who is also, she's like the cop that is represented in PTSD 911. She was there. And then Nicole's parents and Nicole's younger brother. So we all had this lobster feast. We got a full tutorial on how to break these things apart, the history behind them, sort of. And then here's, this is Nicole's mom on the left and Maddie in the middle. And then that's Conrad on the right. So we're getting the lowdown on how to break these things apart. They're fresh out of steamed water or boiling hot water, so you got to just kind of be careful with it. And my gosh, they were so delicious, but it was just like the notion of being there. So here's Conrad speaking at the event itself. This occurred at the family's church. It's a very nice church. You could see some percussion instruments off Conrad's left shoulder just to make Dewey feel at home. I included the percussion. They had actually a whole drum booth set to the right of that, but there he is. He's given kind of like a setup of what the film is about. Great turnout, not as much. I would love to see, if that place held 700 people, I would love to see 700 people in the seats. I'm sure Conrad would too. But the people that were there were impactful and impacted. And that's what's important. And, there was a bunch of Nicole's family there. And there was a bunch of, there was a lot of legislators there, believe it or not, a lot of police and fire officials and parishioners. And we all just came together and we watched the movie. And at the end, there was a panel, and Conrad very graciously invited me to sit on the panel with Maddie, who's in the movie, Desiree, who's in the movie, and that's Sheriff Troy Morton. I think I'm saying that right, but he's from one of the counties up there. I think the county where Bangor is. Definitely one of those mental health kind of sheriffs, you know what I mean, that doesn't just use it as a buzzword. And here we all are after. If you can, tune into Conrad's first responder wellness podcast. He does a phenomenal job. He, like I said, he is in it for us. He's in it to help at least highlight a problem that people did not talk about for many, many years. But you can see Maddie there and Desiree. And let me tell you, like, these people are still feeling it. They're still going through it. Here's another odd confession. I haven't really shed too many tears over the past couple of years for whatever reason. I don't know if it's medication or what. I'm telling you, in that 48-hour span, I can't tell you how many times I got choked up, shed tears. I got choked up just talking to Nicole's mom. I mean, she was like, well, had you ever met her? No, I never met her, but I felt like I knew her. I was at the premiere that she was at. I think I may have shook hands with her, but she is me. She kind of represents me. She kind of represents dispatchers. And, we just had this moment where we're talking a little bit about Nicole, and it was an overwhelming feeling. Like, I don't know. I can't describe it. I got choked up on the stage on the panel trying to explain to people like what, Nicole probably experienced as a dispatcher and how she couldn't shake it. And this is the calling, John, for me. This is this podcast. And we joked, like, before we even turned the cameras on today, like, we could say whatever we want on here because probably nobody's listening. It's the important people that are listening. It's the ones that we know should be impacted by this, or need to be or need to hear what we have to say, and then the word of mouth spreads from there. So that's kind of what happened up there. I'm trying to think if there are any other. Oh, this is the entire family. So at the end of the night, we took what they called a family photo. They wanted a family photo with all of us there. You could see Nicole's mom and dad in there, and her little brother, even her grandparents. Her grandmother made these Maine centric whoopie pies. I know that, it's a popular thing, whoopie pies, but she made like the Maine whoopie pies for us to enjoy after the lobster. And my God, they were out of this world. Just a really good time, but it was just a very touching memory. It was a very significant, incident. Nicole was a dispatcher in my, I don't know, in my life. Like, it just kind of validated what we're doing here. Because, every time I told Conrad that, and I mean this, every time I watch that movie, I learned something new, either about myself, or I learned something new about PTSD, or I learned something new about Maddie or Desiree or Nicole. And, these people bore their souls for you, for the people that are listening here that are suffering with this dreadful, post-traumatic stress. And they're still going through it. And I'll do anything I can to help you, help them, help anybody else. So there you go, John. That's my trip.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing. I wish I had been able to go. I could not go because I had to 911 dispatch. Actually,
Yes.
I had training scheduled next month that got canceled because I have to train a new person. So I'm completely locked into 911 dispatching to the exclusion of all else. But that is our mission here, is to kind of carry on in the same steps as PTSD 911. we hope that those who are listening, 911 dispatchers, we hope that we're reaching more and more of you all the time. We can only start talking and hope that 911 dispatchers out there are able to find us and are able to listen. But we're here to discuss the things that get to you, that bother you, that make you crazy every day, the things that frustrate you, the things that break your hearts, so that we can have a sense of communal understanding about it and share that with the general public at large. But the show is for you and about you. So if you are a fan of the Comm Center, you can always get in touch with us. And if you have a story to share, or if you have a meaningful insight, you've got a chair here.
What I promised the people in that room the other night was that I was, and I've said it before on this show, like until my dying breath, I'm going to sing the praises of dispatchers and make sure people understand that they truly are first responders and they're overdue for a tremendous amount of respect. We can do that though, John, by sharing these 911 stories / body cam videos with a twist of humor. I mean, we've got to make it digestible. Conrad's movie is very, very heavy. And listen, I told you, I'm a huge fan of this thing. It may be inhibitive if we just talk about the bad stuff all the time, because I think there are plenty of podcasts out there. There are plenty of video platforms out there that are able to feed you some of the horror stories within the profession. Our take on it is a little bit different, and this is what I admire the most about you and even Dewey, who, by the way, met Will Smith a couple weekends ago. That we can kind of make this digestible, and we can throw in stories about bees. I really had a picture of the side of one of the buildings in downtown Bangor that is covered in honey in a beehive. I just didn't throw it into the slideshow. I forgot altogether. But we could do this like in a digestible manner so that we can highlight it without making fun of it, and just get people talking about it. It's about the awareness, right?
Well, being a 911 dispatcher isn't just always about the sad stuff. Yeah, we have heartbreaking stuff. We have stuff that's bad that's happened to us every day. But we also do like fun stuff, funny stuff, badass stuff. Like, for every child that falls into a pool and we can't get there until it's too late, there's a grown man who gets his head stuck in a fence. I mean, there's always something funny to that. We get treated to all the ridiculous stuff in life, and I think it's okay for us to talk about the entire scope of what it means to be a 911 dispatcher. And I meant it earlier when I said the stuff that makes you angry, the stuff that makes you crazy. Last night, I was on radio, and for some reason the phone didn't ring one time, so my partner did no work last night. Every single time someone was doing anything, they would call my call sign and it'd be like, "What the fuck do you want?" And I'm like, "Go ahead." and it went on like that all night long. We were about, let's see, for a busy night. Let's see, I'm trying to see. Yeah, we were about maybe 30% busier than usual, just based on call for service volume, but it was all radio, no phones. We didn't send out hardly anything for ambulances or fire trucks last night. We did have one big fire, but most everything was on the radio, and it drove me nuts because I'm sitting there just so busy all night long, and I turn around and my partner's scrolling Reddit. I'm like, why is it all on me? Fuck, man. I'm like, I left the comm center at one point to move because during the day I have to park my truck far away. And once all the brass goes home, I can park closer to the courthouse, So I was so angry I left, and I start walking the blocks away to go get my truck. And I'm like, what if I just never came back, And when my boss would call me and he would say like, what are you doing? You're leaving. And I'm like, well, it's worse than that, boss. There's nobody there because my partner is not doing anything. And he wasn't being lazy or anything. Just the way we divided up labor just ended up screwing me over. So sorry I got on a diatribe about that. But this is the stuff that makes me angry and crazy. And it happened just last night. So
I really wish you would just Forrest Gump your way out of there one day. Just start running and then, leave it on autopilot and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, my boss calls me up and goes, "Where are you? Aren't you at your console?" I just started running.
Right. I'm in Mobile at the moment.
And then after all my beard and my hair is all long, well, I think I'll go back to work now. completely running out of my system. I think I could go not across the country, but probably across the state. I could definitely do that.
I forgot to take my pasta out of the microwave.
Yeah, that's a reason I would go back is because I left something in there. Like the most valuable thing I own is probably in the microwave at work at any given time. I don't keep a lot of personal effects there just in case, I'm asked not to return. I don't ever have to like ask for anything. I'm already moved out. Drew, we have a case to bring you. I'm kind of excited to bring this one because I spent actually an amazing amount of time preparing this week because I couldn't find something that really, really interests me. I had to start doing deep dives on the internet. What's been going on? What's different? What's new? This case I'm bringing today is not the most exciting case, but it is something different. It seems like lately, with the case in Mesquite and that case where the guy had the bikes on the wall. I don't remember hardly what was going on in that case.
Yeah, it was in Greenville.
Yeah, Greenville, but it seems like what we're constantly dealing with, and it's not that it's not important, but it's the constant refrain of cooperate with police, don't resist arrest. There was another one where was it Sparks, Nevada again, where the guy was walking down the street and he was begging to be shot by the cops, and again he wouldn't drop his weapon either. And then Najee Seabrooks also wouldn't drop his weapon. Anyway, nobody's dropping their damn weapons around here, and that's what the cases all seem to be. So I wanted to do something different. And I found this case where this woman dialed 911 and the cops responded and shot her because she didn't drop a knife. And I'm just like, God damn it, I cannot find something that's new and different. So in order to find something that's new and different, I had to travel back into the past. Where this case goes, yes, not literally, because I want everyone to be safe. We're only just reviewing material that has survived since the year of our Lord 2016. And Drew, this will be somewhat nostalgic for you because you were still a cop back then. What were you doing in 2016? You weren't on patrol. You were well established in the detectives bureau, sipping coffee, ruining people's lives as a lieutenant, constantly demanding for people's badges and guns, telling them not to look into things on their personal time to motivate them, right, as a team.
Totally. I believe 2016. I'm trying to think back. I think I was the sergeant of the special operations section, which encompassed like everything: prostitution, human trafficking, prescription fraud, gangs, you name it. And then I was promoted. I think I was promoted in 2016 to lieutenant, as a matter of fact. And then I made it out onto the midnight shift in patrol.
Well, one thing that's a common misnomer, this is something you see on TV, is that if a police officer detective is a part of a unit with the word special in it, you think it's going to be cool. In real life, any unit that contains the word special is just a way for the government to hide their receipts on how they're spending your money. It's a bunch of fat cats sitting behind a locked door where the dispatcher's key card can't even open the door, so that by the time the dispatcher has to knock, everyone has a chance to take their feet off the desk, hold the old-timey phone up to their ear so that they look maximally busy. But I'm guessing Drew did almost no crime fighting and a lot of donut eating in that position. I don't know if he's frozen in time or if he's livid with me for exposing the special operations group. But we're gonna go all the way back in time to January 2016. We're about to elect Donald Trump, still Barack Obama at this point, because the election was in 2016. So we're 9 months away from that. What else is in 2016? Doing anything good in 2016? Nah, he's already left the building by now. But not only are we going back in time, but we're going back in space because this is where I'm from. This is Newport News, Virginia. This is one thing it helped me find the cases. I just started looking for cases that were home to me. And what's interesting about this case, Drew, is that there's, like you alluded to, there's footage from before the police arrive. We're going to see footage of an actual double homicide. It's not too gruesome or anything. You don't need to shield the little kitty's eyes. In fact, you might want to show them exactly what they will be looking at later into their future as the country descends into crime and chaos. They might watch
what their destiny is if they don't
show them their destiny. No one lives forever. No one who gets murdered ever thinks they weren't going to get murdered or when they were kids. Anyway, let's just go to the thing. January 14th, 2016, Newport News, Virginia. We're going to see surveillance video from a private investigator along with 911 audio.
Newport News 911, where's your emergency?
Yes, it's on Wickham Avenue between 13th and 14th Street. It looked like an accident or something. They ran into the car across the street, but the guy got a gun and a blue vest.
Now I know what you're thinking. A car accident with a guy with a gun? Guys, this is Newport news. So far, nothing unusual has happened. Any thoughts on this so far, Drew? What you're looking at?
No, is the guy in the center wearing a hood or just a hood with a mask of some sort?
What it is in Virginia, we have a coastal temperate climate, which means that it's very humid all the time. You'll see that even though it's January, trees are in full bloom. Everything there is green, even on January 14th. It is a little windy with the wind coming off of the sea, though. So he's got kind of a puffy outer shell vest with a hood on it. So when it comes to describing the subject in a minute, we're actually going to run into trouble. Dewey, if you want to do some research to find out what that exact garment is called, when it's a puffy outer hood thing with a hood but no sleeves.
So he's a seafaring gentleman.
It might just be a seafarer's jacket.
Okay.
Could be a Bill Belichick aficionado. I'm not sure.
Got it.
Is it with injuries? I don't know. He had a gun though.
The male subject with a gun, white or black?
He's black.
You'll notice in Virginia, we only have 2 races. I'm sorry, but that's, again, I know that this is a joke that's not going to reach a lot of people unless you're from Virginia. But the reason why I say that is this is not that we only have 2 races. Actually, we have a huge military contingent there. And I grew up with people from all over the world just because of the way that the military works and people coming and going all the time. But we do have a lot of black people in Virginia. In fact, case in point, where I went to high school, white kids were in the minority, and I could get a minority scholarship if I had attended Old Dominion University, which is in Norfolk, Virginia. I could get a minority scholarship on the basis that I was white. So when she says, are you white or black? We're literally flipping a coin over the 2 most common types of people there.
Well, I mean, potentially she could say, are you white, black, or military?
I almost played a case where 2 cops sprayed down an Army lieutenant, and if it had been Air Force, that one would have made the show, Drew.
All right.
But they maced him at a gas station, I think, for no reason.
I remember that. I do remember.
He got a gray vest. He just got back in the car. They got back in the van or something. They're in a gray van.
Okay, stay on the phone with me.
Okay, I'm trying to peek. They're in a gray
Suspects
van.
are in a gray van.
It's like a gray van.
Is it still there?
It's sitting there now, but he got into an accident. They hit the car. He's trying to turn the wheel, but I think he hit the car, so I don't know if he's going to be able to.
Okay, the other car, what color is that?
It's a blue pickup.
Okay, so far this witness, who's probably calling from a nearby house, she's not actually calling from the vantage point of what we are seeing. Like I said, this footage comes from a private investigator. There's always lots to investigate, even privately in Newport News, but she sees a silver van that looks to have the right front tire completely down. It's in the lane of travel. Parked on the side of the street is a dark blue or silver or just dark colored pickup truck. They're almost in parallel. There was some sort of accident. A tire was deflated or something. Now one of the suspects, unless I have misseen it, Drew, he seems to be inside the vehicle. So she's calling because she saw a car accident, it's kind of uncommon to get a 911 call from a third party referencing a car accident outside. But obviously we know one of the suspects already has a gun. I'm going to tell you right now that where I dispatch is not Newport News, Virginia. Car accidents with guns being produced, very, very unusual.
Kind of rare. Yeah.
So I haven't handled a call that's exactly like this. But if I was taking this call and I was taking it out on the middle of fucking nowhere, which is where I live, I would think possible road rage incident. We've had an accident. Now things are escalating. So maybe somebody was drinking that caused part of the accident, and now we've got a firearm involved. That's not what's happening here, though, as we'll come to find out.
John, before you hit play, are the reverse lights on? Is that my mind?
It looks like reverse lights. It looks like they might be trying to pull away from the truck. Yeah, exactly. But again, they can't hardly turn the wheel because that front right tire is all the way down. I think the vehicle may also be disabled, but I think the operator of the vehicle has a reason why they would want to move that out of the street or move that away from the scene. And we'll keep going.
Got it.
He's getting back out.
He's walking away.
The guy with the vest on?
He got on blue jeans, a white jacket, and a blue vest, and got a hood on. I think.
When you mean a blue vest, are we talking about a
a vest that you wear like outside. Like
Okay, but not like a armored vest or anything.
No,
just
not
a
an armored
blue. Okay, white jacket, blue vest, blue jeans. Which way is he walking?
He's going down 14th Street. I can't see.
Walking toward 14th.
Oh, I hear a gunshot.
Before we get to the gunshots, Drew, things in Tampa, I've never been there. Even downtown Tampa, I'm hoping that things are kind of laid out on a grid. Do you have anything that's like that there? Or is it the case that because of all of your inland waterways, that all your streets are all cattywampus and all curvy and they run all over the place?
It's
I
not.
mean, you were just in Boston, so I'm sure you understand like how the
Yeah.
streets are crazy there.
Yeah, it's not all curvy necessarily because of the water, but there are parts that, you know, like kind of hug the river, and the rest you would think are gridded out, but they're not. There are parts of Hillsborough County and parts of Tampa that are kind of gridded out, but not really. They like, instead of just being like a T, they kind of like it's hard to
More of
explain.
an X. Yeah.
Yeah, or, you know, like the road continues over here as
Yeah.
opposed to just continuing straight up. But as far as you know, like there is a center point in the city, which I think is like Kennedy Boulevard, and I'm trying to think of it. Like there's anything south of this road is, you know, the address is going to be XXX South. Anything north of this road, it's going to be XXX North. And then anything east of this road, it's going to be east, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can kind of pinpoint where they are, but it's like she's saying he's running on 14th Street. It's not necessarily that easy.
I'm going to go full confession on you. I've been on the show and I've been rather cruel about people for not understanding if they're going north, south, east, or west. I've been brutal, saying, where's the fucking sun in the sky, you know, to 911 callers.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. Where I'm from, no one uses north, south, east, west directionals ever. In fact, I was in high school in marine biology, and I told my marine biologist when asked what direction was north, I just pointed at the fucking ceiling. And I was in high school by then. No one uses those directionals. And when I moved out here to the Midwest, where everything is not only laid out on a grid, but on a perfect Cartesianal plane of north, south, east, west roads, like there's literally only one like diagonal road in the city that I just moved away from the big city in whatever state I live in. So that's a huge problem for me, and I think it would really hamper me as a 911 dispatcher if I was trying to use north, south, east, or west. But I was doing it in Newport News because, as you'll see in a minute, things really aren't laid out that way, and they have to constantly give direction of travel based on where people are from and where they're going, and it's a layer of frustration that I think 911 dispatchers probably have to deal with a lot more often than I do. So I just wanted to acknowledge any 911 dispatchers in a geographic area where things are fucked up and hard to deal with. My applause to you, because I don't think I could do it, but I'll keep going. We've had gunshots now at this car accident. And by the way, this is downtown Newport News. The streets are laid out like a grid, but it's more confusing than you might think. I'm going to keep going.
Okay. There's gunshots. Is somebody shot? On the accident. Ma'am. Ma'am, you got to help me here. Ma'am, has anyone been shot? Okay, it's a shooting on 13th and Wickham.
Okay, a couple of important things there. First of all, it's still classy in the South to call people ma'am. You know, we've been doing that as recently as 2016. It's not something that you see in a lot of places. The caller immediately becomes hysterical because what she just witnessed, and if you're watching us on YouTube like you should be, you just saw two people. They just flew off. They took flight away from a van parked in the street, apparently engaging with the people inside the van, interacting with them. She heard gunshots. I guess it's easy to say at this point that they've discharged a gun into the van, into whoever's inside the van, and they took off running. The caller immediately becomes hysterical. You can also hear the dispatcher announce to the room, this car accident's got gunshots on it now. The reason for that is that so other dispatchers know that this is not just a simple two-vehicle non-injury accident, which any dispatcher can handle on their own, but it's now a shots fired, weapons violation, possible gunshot wound. Like Now we need everybody to start coordinating police response, staging ambulances, getting all kinds of other assets going. But we have 2 suspects in flight, so this dispatcher cannot disengage from the caller. She's got to get as much information as possible. And this highlights a classic aspect of 911 dispatchers, that even though the shit's hitting the fan and the caller's beside herself, we remain focused, we remain disciplined, and we remain dedicated to getting the guy. My hands off to Newport News 911. I know that they have to do this every day because Newport News is a terrible place, which is why I don't live there anymore. But when bad stuff is happening, they remain focused on getting the guy. And you can tell by the way that the police respond in a few minutes that they are used to relying on their dispatchers to continue to gather more information without having to ask for it. So the suspects have fled from the scene. The dispatcher's going to ask a few more questions, and then we'll go to body cam.
Ma'am, listen to me real quick, okay? Tell me where the suspect is so we can find him.
They ran down 14th Street.
The suspect's on 14th?
They ran down 14th.
So is it 1 or 2?
There was 2. One left, and one left first, and then the other one left the second time. He stayed with the car, and he shot everybody in the car.
He shot everybody in.
Oof.
All right. So everybody in the car has been shot. Here's a map of bad news, just to explain a little bit more. You can see we're on a peninsula there. Most of the major streets are oriented sort of northwest to southeast. Downtown, they're at 14th and Wickham, which means describing the direction of travel as north, south, east, or west is pretty much bonkers at this point, because you can see that everything's like rotated 45 degrees. So
Northeast.
You'll also see that none of the streets have directionals. It's just 15th. It's not South 15th or West Wickham. It's just 15th of Wickham. So the only way for anyone to fucking navigate is by streets. So here's dispatch radio updates along with body cam footage from inside the car.
So hold on a second. This is the reason, and I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. This is the reason Michael Vick called his kennels the bad news kennels.
Yes, it is.
That's insane.
Drew, it would say, to be honest, like Newport News is a different place. I know that, you're from Florida, and Virginia kind of has like all the big city stuff, but we never get any of the big city attention. But dogfighting really wasn't that unusual where I was from. Case in point, when I went to Denby High School, the only 2 teams that we had went to state were the boys wrestling team and the boys dogfighting team. So, I mean, it was pretty normal in Newport News. But yes, we call Newport News bad news because, frankly, it makes about as much sense as the actual name for the town. Like, no one really knows the reason why it's called Newport News. Like, there's a theory about it, but otherwise, like, why the hell would you call a town that? But yes, that's why it was called the Bad News Kennels.
I will tell you, and I hate to try to one-up you because I'll never one-up you.
You never have, and you never will.
And I never will. We had a dog racing team in my high school, but it was just predominantly very small people.
This is going to be a shooting at 13th and Wickham. Shooting 13th and Wickham.
You can hear the engine cranking up on that Charger.
Yep. And his,
no siren yet because it's normal.
It's going to be on 14th Street, still getting a victim location.
And his tough book. Or her tough book.
Now the siren's on. Which, Drew, I could fall asleep to the siren. It just reminds me of home.
Supervising the suspect shot the occupants of one of the vehicles at 13th and Wickham. All units hold traffic on the channel 1106 hours.
Does make me miss the Crown Vic.
It does. So she says, hold all traffic on this channel. Again, with a weapons violation is shooting. We don't want any more traffic stops or any more routine traffic or any more radio traffic that's routine on this channel that's being dedicated solely to the response of the apprehension of these 2 shooters, or the 1 shooter and his accomplice.
You know, hold on. I'm just kind of putting this together, though. Is this an actual body cam in 2016?
This is.
That's insane.
It's Newport News, baby. I mean, we're ahead of the curve.
Apparently.
So, yes, this is the first body cam footage. Now, that's not true at all, but it makes it seem more interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
All right.
It's historic. Yeah.
So she's
There ain't nobody there yet.
She's mad at the I like, okay, so she yells, "Wild traffic, ain't nobody there yet," and then she hits her sirens and tromps on the gas pedal. Now, I'm going to say, in defense of the dispatcher, holy crow, it would be nice to have everyone shut the F up while I'm trying to drive 200 miles an hour, read my computer, and navigate the northwest, south, and east of Newport News. That's my opinion.
I think what's happening, and I'm just guessing, because honestly, the whole like why hold traffic, ain't nobody there yet. First of all, I want to comment on Virginians having like the most delightful sounding Southern accent. There's multiple kinds of Southern accents. You're in West Virginia, it just sounds like a very gummy, toothless sound. If you're in Tennessee, it's sort of a twang, like you just sing a country song. If you're in Florida, it's more huffy and puffy because you just wrestled an alligator, or wrestled an alligator, as you guys say down there. But very, very nice manners. We still say ma'am. We have Southern accents down there. But I'm guessing police officers responding to the scene have big questions. It could be that they want to ask more details, but dispatch is going to get on the radio and be updating people. We know that the 911 call taker you just heard is gathering information. You're going to hear another voice on the radio relaying that out to the units. Right now, the most important thing is that the police get to the vicinity of 14th and Wickham. And believe me, it's not going to take long because downtown Newport News is pretty much a hellhole. It's where all the police are concentrated. I never really saw a lot of police, in my neighborhood, and I lived in a bad neighborhood too, but there are worse neighborhoods. It's bad and worse in Newport News is kind of what you get. So it won't take her too terribly long to get to where she can apprehend the suspect. Let's keep going.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to do that, don't I?
No.
Oh.
Dang, Sar. 1112. Got visual suspect. They're going towards the fence line, Stewart Gardens. Let me get units to Stewart Gardens. One's a black male. Looks like he's about 5'11". He's got a black hoodie and gray khakis. I'm sorry, brown khakis. We're here. We're going to make contact with the victim. 1123, 34, start right to Stewart Gardens, fence line.
Fence line on the south or east or west side?
Go to Roanoke and Stewart Gardens. They're on Wickham, heading towards that fence line where Stewart Gardens and Christopher Short connect.
See how we cannot just solve it with discussion north, south, east, or west. This police officer, and I don't, she's definitely from there based on her accent, but why is she asking north, south, east, or west? Again, the guy who's got to explain where they are and the direction they're going, they're like, well, it's by that fence over by Stewart Gardens on this other road that connects. Like, you have to know the area down here, and I suspect it's that way in a lot of areas where people are 911 dispatching, where if you don't know all these little streets and if you're unable to keep up, I'm sure dispatchers are using an interactive map to help them. But if you don't know these areas on your beat as a police officer in downtown Newport News, you're not going to catch the guy.
Yeah, I got it.
But this police officer does know how to, in case of point, spoiler alert, she's going to catch him. But I think it's just funny that at one point she asked north, south, east, or west, when it's just like, I lived there for 18 years and I never heard those words outside of a science classroom. So,
right.
It's over here too. Hey, set up a perimeter along Roanoke. I've got Garden and Roanoke. Go back up a little ways, more set. 1112. I got the vehicle. Looks like we got two victims. One appears 10-7. I'm gonna try to make contact with the second victim.
Wow.
One victim is 10-7. That's a nice euphemism for saying off duty, but it's also a way of saying that they're dead. So one person inside the cars is for sure dead. So we're attempting to apprehend a homicide suspect. Drew, did you want to talk police tactics? You got vehicles swarming in like a swarm of bees on top of a guy, like a fallen hot dog at a pool. Is there any particular tactics you want to try to orchestrate as a shift leader with a perimeter? How important is it for you to get certain information out? Have you ever been in this situation? Is it alien to you?
Yeah, of course. No. I've been in this situation more than once, but this is, they're doing a fantastic job at the communication part, as in, it's a quick reminder, let's get a perimeter set up. So there's this there's this balance point where there's a tipping point where you want to set a perimeter so the canine can get in there and do their job, and or the air service if you have access to that. Or if you actually physically see somebody, then you want to get out of your car, obviously, and run them down and approach them. But you want to do it when other people are in the area, in the immediate area, so they can watch what you're doing, assist you, run towards you, or at least have some kind of perimeter so that if, hopefully you're going to chase the bad guy right into their arms. But the thing about having a perimeter and not seeing the suspect, it's crucial to stay in your car because you don't want to mess with the scent for the dog. But it sounds to me like, they have a visual on these guys, so that they're trying to vector these people right into it. But somebody else that's on the way that's responding is saying, hey, let's make sure we set a perimeter. Here's where I am, and I'm covering, this to this. So other people start speaking up, and hopefully, I can't see what's on her computer, but sometimes they have the map function up so they could see where each other is, and you should be able to see like the dots forming basically a circle around.
This footage is so old that on her computer inside the car, the refresh rate isn't the same as the camera, so it looks like it's flickering. Drew, what's the minimum number of police officers you need to form a perimeter?
At least 4, I would think. I mean, you could do it on the night shift. It's a little bit different. I think you can use the illusion of numbers with the lights. Once suspects start seeing a bunch of lights everywhere, they probably think that there's a million cops out there, and actuality it's just cutting through the night, so there's only 3, 2 or 3 there. But the goal is just to get somebody there, to get them to the person that's running away to hunker down, to hide under a parked car, to crawl into a boat, to call, just to get them to hide. And then the more that come in, the more you can,
the more bees on the hot dog. I gotcha. Out here in rural policing, Drew, the answer is 2. It takes 2 cops to make a perimeter. You stand on a corner and you look left and you look right, and the other person's on the opposite corner from you, and they're looking left and right. Make sure nobody runs through your line of sight. That's the best you could do here at the end of the world, Drew. No, these police officers, you're right, they are setting up a swarm. I think it's lucky that these 2 suspects left on foot. We had really good information about where they were and which direction they were going and what time. I know it's really easy to reflect back on this, but if you compare the clock on the surveillance camera footage, it was just after 11 o'clock. It was like 11:06. We got transmissions going out. At one point, the dispatcher's timing this transmission, she says at 11:06 or something. So we had really good information from that caller, good description of what was happening in real time. That's why when you overlay it with the footage taken by the private investigator, it makes for a perfect narrative, because she does such a great job. But these guys are not fleeing in a car. They weren't able to take the van and make a getaway with it. I don't know if the truck was theirs, but they're going away on foot at this point. They're going through people's neighborhoods. And yes, even in Newport news, people do call and snitch on each other. So the moment of great justice to be delivered is nigh, Drew. We'll keep playing the footage.
I'm sorry, I got a suspect running, black male, black hoodie, tan pants. He's running through Stewart Gardens. Got a second one walking out towards Roanoke Avenue. Blue hoodie, blue jeans.
Is Stewart Gardens like a housing complex of some sort?
I have no doubt that it is. There's a lot of Section 8 housing over there.
Okay.
Got a 14. I just saw commercial recruiter and a table games on lockdown. 11:30, shots fired. 11:30, shots fired.
Quack, quack. Police officer has seen somebody. They're in front of an apartment complex. Without much thought or whatever, she fires directly at the complex, which is fine. It's Newport News. Everybody knows when they hear the sirens to get down. But this suspect's not even that close to her. I know you can't tell from this vantage point yet. There's another police officer off to her right. This suspect is very far away from her. He's not thrown down the weapon. Guess what, guys? It's one of those calls again. And she has fucking plugged him from across the way. Excellent job to her. I don't know if you could see this, Drew, but our police officers have some of the best uniforms in the business. It is January. She's wearing long sleeves. Fun fact, Drew, Newport News Police Department is one of the only police departments in the world that issues a standard uniform in the summer that allows you to wear shorts. I don't know if you ever had that in Florida, but we have it in Newport News.
The bike patrol units.
All of them.
No, in our jurisdiction.
Oh, I'm just saying where we lived in summertime, all the cops had suspiciously high shorts and rugged thighs.
Fun.
Honestly, I would comply just to stop hearing her voice. She's very shrill.
I agree. Very, very effective.
I had to turn her down, yeah.
He's got the gun down. It's stood on the steps.
We would also call that a stoop, but maybe she's new.
Gun is on the steps to his right. Yeah, I'm going up to the tree. Coming up beside you, Sarge.
What you're seeing is moving from cover to cover. It's cover or concealment. So it might even be just concealment at this point. The tree looks pretty thick, like it could provide some cover, but she was kind of behind some like a railing, an open railing. So maybe the concrete stairs were providing some cover and concealment for her.
I'm holstering.
Again, she's very sharp. A lot of communication. Like she's like, Sarge, I'm coming up by your side. She doesn't want to get shot herself. And yes, I am holstering and I'm running up to the suspect. Like this is vital, this communication, because you know, in the haze of the thing, you're focused on the guy, and you definitely want to hear verbal cues like that.
By the way, she shot this guy, so good for her.
Yeah, good for her. Great for her.
That's the end of that. Good job to the Newport News Police Department. I'll read you a little bit about what happened in the case. Like I said, we had video footage of a double shooting in Newport News. The video caught the shooting that took the life of Cadre Ray and Quentin Kelly. Both victims were inside that van, Wickham Avenue, in January 2016. A private investigator was in the area. I don't know if he looked like he was in a house, but he was doing surveillance on an unrelated case when he got more than he bargained for by catching this crime on video. That means he's able to charge double, Drew. In the investigator's footage, you can see that the police have been called to essentially what ended up being a robbery in progress. Some sort of vehicle collision occurred, but then at gunpoint, a robbery happened, and there are to be no witnesses. A few minutes later, they run away. The other suspect, Horatio Dantzler, which, poor guy, I mean, that's a terrible name. He's the one that leaned into the van and opened fire. He ran off. The neighbor dialed 911. You heard all that audio. The police arrived on scene. Officers chased the suspect in their cars. They ended up shooting Dantzler and taking him into custody. That's what you just saw. He was sentenced to life in prison. And let me tell you what, prison in Virginia, not fun. The other suspect, Stephen Hayes, has been charged with robbery. I'm not sure the outcome of that trial, but it's very possible that he went to jail for a long time. So, awesome hometown case. You could maybe see why I don't live there anymore. That was sort of like what would happen every day in downtown Newport News. When I was there a couple years ago, it was sort of I was actually kind of nervous to be back in my hometown because it's not a nice place, Drew.
Yeah. Do you think he was named after the amount of guys that make it out of there? Low ratio.
Low ratio. Well, the joke would be more effective with me if I hadn't seen how it was spelled. But no, when your name's Horatio, though, there's no way that you're not getting made fun of. I mean,
yeah, right. I would. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's why he turned to murder. You know what I mean? Like maybe somebody in that van made fun of his name.
Here's something interesting is that nobody actually goes by their real names down there. I don't know if you have this, Drew, but everyone has kind of a street name. I don't know if you've ever seen First 48, but when big cities, when they investigate crime, they're always coming across interesting characters who are named Ice Pick or Dread or Snoops or something.
Ray. Sure. Yeah.
What was your nickname when you were on the Special Investigators Unit?
Bubblegum.
Bubblegum.
No, that was my nickname when I was a young Cub Scout softball prodigy.
Bubblegum Baxter.
Yeah, it was. It truly was Bubblegum.
Did they call you LT or Lou?
LT.
That's good.
I had one or two that called me Lou.
I don't like Lou. It's too French.
Right. And the loo is the bathroom.
All right, I'll allow it. All right, we have no voicemails this week because our ever widening circle of fans is becoming less and less helpful to the show. I blame myself for doing the after show. Everyone gets a chance to interact with me in the after show. Everyone calls up and asks me bizarre questions, and David tells me the worst jokes on earth. And that is why until I start getting more voicemails, there will be no more after show. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so on Instagram. You can talk to the show at the Comm Center is the name of our show. Dewey, are you still there? Dewey's probably hanging out with Will Smith. There you go, the Comm Center. You can also reach out to Drew at What Say Drew on Instagram, or me at Difficult to Look At Pictures. You can also, how else do they get in touch with us? Facebook. We're also on Facebook.
Look, I would love if people would go to our YouTube page and watch our old episodes and try to catch up that way, or share them, or just did stuff like that. I mean,
hit like, hit subscribe, share it with a friend. Call 848-COMM-911 to talk to the Comm Center. You can leave us a voicemail. You can talk to us constantly. Call in 848-COMM-911. That's 848-266-6911. It's 848-266-6911. We literally have a phone number with 911 in it. We pay money to maintain that phone number, and none of you are using it. So we have negative equity again this week because nobody's calling and using it. Well, we're paying for it. If you're a fan of the Comm Center, I get that we're in a generation that doesn't call, that doesn't leave messages. If you want to text, send us an email, send us a message or something. We'd appreciate it. We're lonesome for you. And again, I'm not doing the after show until people start cooperating again. Drew, how else do we end the show? Isn't there something else we needed to end the show with? Make sure you're watching us on YouTube. If you're just listening to this, you missed a great presentation. It was fantastic.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. We'll catch you next week here on the Comm Center.
Otis Sistrunk.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
LeVar Arrington.
Weeb Eubanks.
Ryan Clark. Christian Foria.
Bronco Nagurski.
TJ Duckett.
Sammy Baugh.
Oh, how dare you. Adam Archuleta.
All right, I'm ending it.